going to happen. Stop trying. Oh, bitch. You haven't seen me try.
So I've seen my fair share of bad movies, and trust me when I tell you, this one's a special kind of bad. That's right, boys, we're talking about the worst superhero movie of 2017, The Immortal Wars. This thing came out around the same time as Justice League, but I'd rather watch Justice League 7 times than watch this thing another time. But how can it be that bad, you may be asking? Well, let's go over it. There were a bunch of wars worldwide, and Earth is left with 10 countries remaining. Which countries, you may ask? Surely large and powerful countries like China, Japan, South Korea, and Brazil are still around, right? No. The 10 countries are the United States, Russia, Mexico, England, France, Germany, Ukraine, India, Australia, and Africa. There are currently 54 countries in Africa. They couldn't just name one? Egypt, Morocco, South Africa. South Africa. Just add one word. Not to mention that, again, India and Russia are the only two countries on the Asian continent that survived. China, Japan, South Korea, all gone.
Reduced to atoms.
These countries partake in Dominion's game, named after and run by the madman Dominion Harvey. In these games, countries force their superheroes to fight each other to the death for entertainment purposes. These superheroes, by the way, are called deviants. It's not really explained how they appeared or why, but considering that they're introduced after the movie explains the wars, I think it's safe to say that they're mutants due to radiation. These games are broadcast through the world as the Immortal Wars.
Hey, that's the name of the show.
If you haven't seen the Hunger Games resemblance yet, just wait, it gets significantly more apparent as the movie goes along. Our main character is Olive Summerland from the United States, who goes by Trekalypse, and she is an anime protagonist through and through. She doesn't want to fight people, but she's really strong. In fact, she is the strongest deviant that's ever been a part of the Dominion games, and throughout the movie, others hint that she is necessary for them to overthrow Dominion and stop his games. She has telekinesis, super strength and durability, telepathy, and she can absorb powers with body contact. But you know what power she uses most of all? She shoots fire out of her hands. This isn't explained, she just does it. I'll give you a brief overview of the other characters, but I really want you to try and remember any of their names after the video's over. The Charge, who fights for France, can generate electricity. It sounds cool, but he's actually the weakest deviant on this list. Blackout, who fights for Germany, has superhuman senses and an environmental radar. He's actually just Daredevil, and you can't tell me he doesn't at least look like Daredevil. He's Daredevil. Bloodshed, who's fighting for England, can absorb and drain energy from others. This sounds pretty cool, but spoiler warning, he's Slipknot. I will not elaborate further. Atmo, who's fighting for Australia, can manipulate the elements of the earth. Not sure what it really means, but it sounds a lot fucking cooler than an environmental radar. Sorry, Daredevil. Sin, who is fighting for Africa, has superhuman strength, can generate the Dark Force, and can summon her 3 children from the underworld. Kind of unfair for Daredevil so far. Carly and the Tank are a duo fighting for Russia. Carly can scan the future and communicate telepathically. The Tank can generate super strength. Look at the power of this man. Aeolus, who fights for Ukraine, can generate extreme speed and strength. I don't know why they keep saying generate. He's fast. Just say he's fast. What do you mean generate? Anyways, Iroh, who's fighting for Mexico, can manipulate and control fire. This movie has a really weird habit of repeating itself. It's kind of like when you're writing an English paper in your junior year of high school, and you're almost finished, but you're right below the minimum word count, so you decide to get really descriptive. She can control fire. Yeah, she can also manipulate it, but that's the same thing as control. Decay, who's fighting for India, has breath and touch that can generate the Dark Force. Hey, the Dark Force was mentioned earlier with Sin, right? What is that about? Well, we never learn. But it's spooky, and evil, and dark. There's also Nyx Moros. She's the previous winner of the Immortal Wars who killed her own brother to win the games by ripping his head off. She kind of looks like a redhead Ashley Tisdale too. Just me? Sorry. Anyways, now with these characters out of the way, let's get into the games. Nope, sorry, the movie has other plans. First of all, the actor for Bloodshed, Tom Sizemore, he's too expensive, so we have to write him out somehow. He also, doesn't really look like he's into it that much. Bloodshed refuses to fight, so they throw him in the dungeons and replace him with the man who needs no introduction, Leo. Wait, you don't know who this is? Are you serious? Well, I don't either. They don't really explain him too much. They just say he's ready in case they need a replacement. Anyways, now the games can start. First off, it's Leo versus Blackout. It's a grueling fight inside of the wrestling ring from Spider-Man 1, but Daredevil prevails. Remember Blackout's powers? Superhuman senses and an environmental radar? He uses these powers to kill Leo? If you somehow understand what he did here, please let me know. With that fight out of the way, we then move on to the next few fights. Aeolus versus Carly and the tank. These three are fighting inside of a bullpen, with Carly on the outside being absolutely useless. Aeolus beats up the tank pretty easily, and Carly cries over his corpse. Brutal. Decay versus Atmo. These two fight on the back of your local grocery store, complete with cardboard bales and everything. Atmo does this weird thing where he tries to basically sucker punch Decay, and he gets Mortal Kombat executed.
Well, shit.
Iroh vs. Sin. This is my favorite fight location because it's just like an amusement park that's on fire. I love it. Sin summons her 3 children and Iroh kills all of them. This emotionally weakens her though, as she didn't want to kill anyone. Although if they're being summoned from the underworld, are they really alive? Finally, Triclops vs. the Charge. This is the fight that made me realize this movie is a special blend of awful. First of all, the location is just a grocery store parking lot with a junker car and a bunch of CGI fire. I know this because we see some wooden pallets in the back that remind me of my old grocery store job. COVID sucked. Anyways, also, look at this. What? What did he do to her? This is literally weaker than Pocket Sand.
Pocket sand. Yeah.
And then the ending. Oh boy. She throws him off a platform that's 3 feet off the ground. My sister's goldfish could survive that fall. My iPhone could survive that fall. But he just dies. Of what? Game. And now we're on to the quarterfinals. We first get Iroh vs. Decay, and this is where the Hunger Game analogy really hits. Keep in mind, the comic book this movie is based on, The Vanquishers, was created by Joe Lujan back in 2009. You know when the first Hunger Games book came out? 2008. Anyways, throughout the film, Iroh and Triclops become friends, so of course Joe decides to fully rip out a plot point from the Hunger Games. Iroh gets killed by Decay. This actually surprised me for a second before I realized what I was watching. Iroh was just Rue. I will not elaborate any further. Next, we get Aeolus vs. Triclops. Why are these names so stupid? I've googled Aeolus and I found 2 possible reasons for this name. Number 1, named after the son of Helen, Aeolus, who led the Aeolian tribe of Greece. Or, number 2, he's named after a protein involved in the creation of lymphocytes, which are white blood cells. Number 2 is kind of a cool reason to name him after, as in this battle he lets Triclops kill him so that she can survive and take down Dominion. In a sense, he is helping Triclops become the white blood cell that this world needs, but I think this is a complete coincidence and the creator just liked the name. Anyways, Aeolus loses, Triclops kills him, and then she cries over his corpse on camera. This crying leads to the second worst part of the movie in my opinion. Mr. Dominion decides to throw subtext out the window and explain the entire purpose of the games to Nyx.
Is what she did not allowed? What she did made us look bad. What she did shows the world that she is good and that she cares. The purpose of these games are to show that you are all to blame for what happened to this planet and that you are all the enemy.
I just hated this so much. You could just cut out this piece of dialogue and the movie would just flow so much better. Now we get to the main event, Triclops vs. Decay. This is a very basic and, dare I say it, boring fight. But wait, the creators knew they had to put some sort of twist into this, right? They can't just have a normal fight at the end. So they just throw in Blackout, I bet you thought we forgot about him, huh? Well, I did. I completely forgot about him until he showed back up. But Tricalypse senses that he's being controlled, so she teams up with Decay to take him down. And they do. And then they get back to fighting.
Bro, did that really just happen?
Then we get a fake out where it looks like Decay kills Tricalypse. But no, Tricalypse is overpowered as fuck. So she comes back to life and kills Decay. And then the fight ends. And then the lights are raised and we see that they're actually inside some sort of studio. But then Nyx Moros arrives and she's there to fight Tricalypse. They run at each other and then a gruesome fight starts that I can't show here. Nyx tries to rip Tricalypse's head off like she did her brother, but Tricalypse overpowers her and pulls her in. She then punches right through her chest and wins the Immortal Games. Nah, I'm just kidding. They run at each other and the movie ends. And then we get a post-credit scene where Decay comes back to life. I know what bad financial decisions are. I bought Cats on digital and Blu-ray. I've spent hundreds of dollars to go to prom, to hang out with people I haven't spoken to in about 4 years now. I own a PS Vita. So, believe me when I say, I have never regretted spending money as much as I did when I bought this movie. This movie left me with an empty feeling inside. I felt so terrible watching this that I watched my first Wes Anderson film right afterwards to find out what good cinema is actually like. I can't rip on the Immortal Wars too much, because it is very clear that the budget for this movie was $18 and whatever sandwich these actors wanted from Subway, but some decisions were not budget-based. Bad CGI? Yeah, I get that. That's expensive. That's not necessary. But bad writing? That's the whole movie, man. There's a reason I specifically watched Wes Anderson's The Grand Budapest Hotel right after this. That movie was made with $25 million and made like $173 million back. That's huge. People like his movies because the writing and the script is solid, and they stay within their lane. It has some CGI that's fairly obvious and not too great in my opinion, but it's stylized and it works with the story that's being told. I see very little good in the Immortal Wars. I see the idea, and I think it's interesting, but it needed much better implementation. And you know the worst part? We'll never know how the series goes on because there's no sequel. Wait. Oh. Oh no.